It doesn't start with something big. It typically starts with something small, very casual, almost forgettable. You say you're tired and ready to call it a night, and they just push for one more drink or one more round, a little more of your time, and then you stay. Not because you want to, but because it feels easier than dealing with their reaction. That's how it often begins, a little pressure, a tiny override of your gut. Just enough to make you question your comfort, but not enough to call it even a red flag yet. And that's the thing with narcissists. They don't come in twirling their mustache and announcing their emotional unavailability. They show up pretty polished, funny, charming, and they mirror you so well that you start to wonder if you finally met somebody who really gets you. It feels exciting, and then something feels off. Not big enough to walk away yet, just small enough that you can ignore it. And ignoring it, that's where it gets dangerous. Because by the time you realize this person doesn't actually care about how you feel or who you are, beyond how you make them feel, it's already complicated. You're invested, and now you've made excuses, and now you've got to explain to your therapist or your best friend how this perfect beginning turned into a year of just walking on eggshells. If I had a nickel for every time somebody told me my ex was a narcissist, I'd be living somewhere very warm right now. But not every self-centered person is a narcissist, and not every narcissist is easy to spot. But you can often catch the warning signs within the first 5 dates if you know what to look for. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So if that sounds at all interesting or intriguing, I hope you'll stick around because that's what's on the agenda. From the moment the date begins, it's clear they have a lot to say, and they say it well, actually. Stories are really polished and their jokes are well timed. They talk about their accomplishments, their brilliant insights, their very stressful but fascinating career. And you feel like you're watching a one-person show, and your role is to applaud. And at first you do, because it's impressive. But somewhere in the second hour, it dawns on you that they haven't asked a single question. Not about your life, your past, or even your drink preference. Narcissists are skilled at charming people, but they're not interested in learning about you unless it's to reflect something flattering back at themselves. So if someone can talk for 2 hours and never seem to notice that you're in the room except to give them attention, that's not confidence. That's consumption. You barely know each other, but they're already imagining your life together. I never do this, they say, but there's just something about you. They've got big feelings, big compliments, big plans. They love your energy. They feel so seen by you, so connected. While it's moving so fast and it's so exciting, it's also starting to feel orchestrated. Same as online dating scammers, right? It's the love bombing, the same thing you see with all of the online dating fraud and the romance scammers. Same thing. When someone love bombs you on dates 1, 2, and 3, what they're offering isn't intimacy. It's intensity. And when things move at that pace, you don't get time to build trust or to ask questions that would reveal who they are and their patterns. You just get swept into a version of connection where they're in control of the narrative. Real intimacy isn't urgent, it's steady. So when a pace feels like a sprint, ask yourself, who's setting that pace and why? A couple years ago, my mom got really impressed by my videos when she was finally forced onto social media and watched a couple of them. By me, obviously. So a few weeks go by, and she swings by my house to return some of my, glass storage containers. We've been in a 20-year cycle of swapping side dishes like it's currency. And she gives me this very serious look, and she says, Carey, that red subscribe button, does it charge people when they press it? I said, Mom, no, it's free. It's YouTube. And she said, oh, thank God. I've been telling all my friends to press it, and I didn't want them getting billed. So just to clear it up for my mom, and maybe for you too, that little red subscribe button doesn't cost a thing, but it does help me out a ton. So please click it, Because if my mom's out here running a grassroots PR with nothing but a rotary phone and raw determination, the least you can do is click the button. Now back to the good stuff. This isn't always obvious. It could be a little joke at your expense, a question that feels just a little too personal too soon. Maybe they reach for your hand when you haven't really shown any interest in being touched yet. You mention you're not comfortable with something and they say, "Oh, come on, I'm just being playful." These are not random quirks. They're tests. Narcissists want to know early on what they can get away with. If you stay quiet when your boundaries are pushed, they learn that you're easier to wear down. And if you do speak up, watch for how they react. Do they care? Do they make space for your concern? Or do they just double down and mock you maybe, or even minimize your feelings? People show you how they handle limits pretty early on, and narcissists often see boundaries as suggestions, not rules. Pay attention to the hierarchy that they're building. They name drop and highlight their income, or they'll brag about vacations or luxury habits, and they'll make subtle digs about people who aren't as successful as they are. And if you bring up something simple or local that you really love, a dive bar or a quiet hike, your favorite diner maybe, they might play it off as, "Oh, that's so cute," like it's beneath them. No, there's also the online presence. Very curated looking feed they have. Lots of selfies with long captions, with veiled brags. They look like they're trying to get the admiration and likes. They thrive on how they're seen, and how they can manage that image is very important to them. If it feels like you're on a date with a TED Talk and a product launch rolled into one, that's not a relationship. It's actually marketing. Yeah. You open up a little bit, you share something honest, maybe about your family or a past relationship, a recent loss. And instead of kind of engaging, they just kind of give it a vague, "Oh, that sucks." Or worse, they pivot immediately to a story about them. Your moment turns into their monologue. Or maybe they just respond with judgment, advice you didn't ask for, dismissive jokes. It's not that they're mean, it's that they don't feel with you. And that absence, even when it's dressed up in charm or wit, you can feel it. It leaves a mark. You end up walking away from the date feeling like you gave something real of yourself and you got nothing back. It starts off kind of cute sometimes, like, "Wow, you're trouble, aren't you? You probably have 1,000,000 people chasing you." It sounds playful until it doesn't. One minute it's flirty, the next they're side-eyeing your phone like it's a threat to national security. They joke about how good you look, then casually ask who you're texting. They say they're not the jealous type, right before proving that they absolutely are the jealous type. Early jealousy loves to wear a disguise. It shows up as charm and compliments and protectiveness. But peel it back just a little bit and you're already being pre-owned by somebody who doesn't even know your middle name. Narcissists don't want connection. They want control dressed up as chemistry. And if you feel like you're on trial by date 2, that is not romance, it's surveillance. One minute you're joking about your favorite childhood cereal, the next they're irritated that the restaurant doesn't have valet. You go from laughing to tiptoeing so fast your nervous system thinks it's a fire drill. This isn't depth, it's drama. Narcissists don't know how to regulate. They just offload, and that means that their vibe, their energy, and how they come across, their whole mood becomes your job. You're adjusting your tone and softening your takes to keep them in check, to keep the night on track. And let me tell you, if you're already monitoring yourself in order to keep them in check, you don't want to know what date 6 looks like. You're not falling in love, trust me. You're managing somebody, and very soon you will be running on empty. You offer one gentle observation. "You know what? I thought jokes were supposed to be funny." And suddenly the energy shifts. They get cold or sarcastic, or they hit you with, "Guess I just can't say anything around you." And now you're explaining your tone like you just offended a boardroom. This is the narcissist's favorite move. Punish the person who gives feedback. Make you question yourself so that they never have to question anything. If they can't handle a soft boundary on date 4, they sure as hell won't handle you having actual needs in a relationship. Not every awkward date means you're sitting across from a narcissist. There are people who don't ask questions on date 1 because they're just too nervous and they're just too in their own heads to be themselves or to relax enough to let go. But when the pattern is clear, when somebody moves too fast, talks too much, dismisses your feelings and pushes your boundaries, and expects your attention like it's owed to them, it's perfectly okay to walk away. You don't need to diagnose them. You don't need a checklist. You just need to believe how it feels in your gut. Because in healthy connections, you don't have to shrink. You don't have to second guess yourself. You don't have to leave wondering if you imagined rudeness or you overreacted to something. You leave feeling seen and steady. That's the energy you're looking for. When you find it, protect it like hell because there's so many narcissists out there. Or maybe not. But if you found this helpful, you might also enjoy this episode on green flags because there are great people out there too. And hey, please give my little mama the thumbs up. She's kindly requesting. She thinks it'll make her gardenias bloom. And don't forget to subscribe because it's way easier than spotting a narcissist on a first date. I appreciate you being here today. And until next time, thank you and have a good one.